Whims, wants, wishes, love them or hate them, they've always been a part of the Sims games until now. The Sims 4 team has given up on whims. Disabled, unfinished, no longer a priority, or even an afterthought. Why did they take away this feature that so many players loved? Well, let's take a closer look. Whims were introduced in The Sims 4 as sort of a replacement for the wants and wishes that we had in the previous games. Your sim can have up to 3 whims at a time in The Sims 4, the first one being governed by emotion and the other 2 based on things like aspiration, or at least they used to be. And then as new whims were added, they started being affected just by expansion pack and they got more and more generic until they were basically useless. That's my personal opinion. According to the Sims Wiki, these other 2 are determined by the Sims traits, aspiration, and current circumstances, but I think this got more and more off base as the game progressed, which is probably why they ended up being disabled in the first place, but we'll get to that later. Originally, whims not directly related to a Sim's emotions would just stay there until they were either fulfilled or canceled by the player. As of patch 12, whims are automatically refreshed when Sims go to sleep, become dazed, or return home from work. And the patch also added a pin button so you could lock in the whims, similarly to how you could lock in wants and wishes in Sims 2 and 3. In The Sims 4, whims work a little bit differently. Whenever you fulfill a whim, your sim gets satisfaction points, and you can use these satisfaction points to buy reward items in a reward store in the game. In the game, Dennis Kim here has a current whim to watch a romantic TV show from being fine. This is his emotional whim. And then he has 2 more to buy a dishwasher and harvest a plant. And these 2 come from his actual traits, which is really cool. Also, I'm using a whim overhaul mod that helps a lot, and I'm going to tell you guys about that in a minute. But you can cancel whims if you don't like them, or you can pin them, which I refer to as lock them in because that's the terminology I'm used to from previous games. So that you can make sure that they don't disappear like when the sim goes to sleep, and you want to make sure you fulfill that whim. In November of 2018, whims became disabled by default. That means whenever you started up your game after that patch, your Sims would have no whims at all, and you'd have to go into the gameplay menu and click the little button Show Whims. Now, all new games, anytime you install the game, you will not have whims unless you specifically turn them on. This is about the time that whims started to go downhill. So after this time, there were no new whims added with the new expansion packs. The last new whims that EA added to the game, I believe, were in the Seasons expansion pack. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we did not get any new whims for Get Famous. I know we didn't get any new whims for Island Living, Eco Lifestyle, and definitely not in Snowy Escape. So the Sims team has appeared to completely have abandoned whims. They are no longer adding whims for the new content that comes out in the expansion pack. As I saw in my Snowy Escape video, I was hoping for whims for things like going sledding or skiing or snowboarding or rock climbing, but there were no whims for that. So, okay, great. Why does that matter? Who cares, right? Who cares about whims? Well, I do. And I know there are other players who also enjoyed the whims. In The Sims 2 and 3, I play using what I call a wants-based gameplay. I like to do the things that my Sims have wants to do. If I were going to play this family right now, Dennis Kim wants to watch a romantic TV show, so I would have him go inside and do that. Then I would buy him a dishwasher, and then I would have him harvest a plant. I like to guide my Sims in their lives and let them make decisions for themselves instead of me deciding everything. This is just a personal preference on how I like to play. I know other people also like to play like me, and it's very difficult to do so in The Sims 4 because the whims have become so irrelevant, and now they're just pretty much not supported at all. But even if you aren't a wants-based player, I know that other people have different gameplay styles, such as using the whims to get those satisfaction points, or just using them as a guide whenever you can't decide what you want to do with your Sims. And some people just hate whims and keep them disabled altogether. But for those of us who do like to play with them, it's become very difficult over the last couple years. If you go to the rewards store in The Sims 4, then these are the rewards that you can buy with the satisfaction points you get from fulfilling whims. There are things like potions that impact emotions. I never, ever, ever use these. Do you guys ever use these? And then we get down to some better rewards. So here's a lifestyle. This is a new one for the lifestyles that came with Snowy Escape. There's also sleep replacement, instantly fills your energy need, alcohol lightweight. I think that might be a custom one with a mod I'm using, so ignore those. But you have things like always welcome, great storyteller. These are very similar to the rewards that you would get in The Sims 3 for fulfilling wishes. Heat acclimation, observant, speed cleaner. I mean, there's a lot of really cool rewards, and these are basically just purchasable traits that you add to your Sims, just like you could do in The Sims 3. So even if you don't like whims or wants-based gameplay, there was still a practical reason to fulfill whims, and that was to get the points for these rewards. Now, there are other ways to get these points besides the whims, such as completing the aspiration goals. So I guess the Sims team has just decided that this would be easier than continuing to add whims. I don't know. According to the Sims 4 wiki, as Sims fulfill their whims and aspiration goals, they can earn and collect satisfaction points that can be spent on rewards. So if you don't use whims, then you're just reliant on the aspiration goals instead, and you don't get the additional points from the whims. Now, I've never cared too much about the reward points. I mostly like to play with whims because I like to use them to guide my sim in their life. But I would think for people who are really point and goal oriented, this would also be a disadvantage for you because you're losing the ability to get all of these extra points if you don't have whims enabled. Or if they're just so generic that they're difficult for your Sims to fulfill, such as buy a B-box or a 1x1 pool. We all know those, right? If you're as disappointed as I am about the abandonment of whims in The Sims 4, there is a mod that can help you, and it's called Whim Overhaul. And this is by the creator. Forgive me because this is in German, so I don't really know if this is the creator's name or what, but I will put the link down below. It's Benchens mod. Benchens mod. I'm so sorry for butchering that. But anyway, this is where you can find the mod if you scroll down. And like I said, I'll put a link to this down in the description box below, but you do have to scroll down to find it. It's been updated on November 17th, 2020 at the time I'm making this video. Always check and make sure that any mods you download for The Sims 4 have been updated for the current patch. This one has, as of right now. So this is an overhaul of the EA whim system, which enhances the chances for family-based whims. So for those of you who enjoy family play, this is really, really good. And it tunes down whims to buy new stuff. So no more B-boxes and pools and ridiculous things that make no sense for your Sims. There are also special whims for pregnancy, elder life stage, childhood phases, and a lot more. So one of the things I love about this mod so much is not only does it get rid of some of the most annoying whims and also encourages more family type of whims, but it also adds in whims for the expansion packs that didn't get any from EA. This is a must-have mod for me. I cannot play The Sims 4 without this whim overhaul. When you download it, there will be a base game package and also a package for every expansion pack, game pack, stuff pack that she has added new whims or changed the whims for. Just get the ones for the packs that you currently have. And some of them, like this one, the childhood phase requires city living and parenthood. So make sure you read them if you're going to use this, and just get the ones for the content that you have. You will also need the emotion whim sets and base game. Make sure you get both of these and then start getting the packs that you need. So there has been a new update for the Snowy Escape expansion. I'm not sure if any new whims were added for this one yet. I played for a couple hours in Snowy Escape and I didn't see anything new. That doesn't mean it's not there, and that doesn't mean there won't be whims added in the future. So keep your eye on this mod. Another mod to keep your eye on when it comes to whims is Meaningful Stories by Roberki. This is another one of my must-have mods for The Sims 4. Right now, it doesn't really impact whims. It's mostly for emotions. If you have an issue with the way emotions work in the game like I do, then definitely get this mod. It helps a lot. and I will link it down below. But one really interesting thing I wanted to bring up is under planned and upcoming features, autonomy improvements, meaningful memories. So this creator is actually working on a memory system, and whim improvements. Hopefully in the future, this will be another mod we can use to enhance our whims and our whims-based gameplay for those of us who enjoy it. Let's talk about why the Sims team abandoned whims to begin with. Was it because they just couldn't get the tuning right and they decided to dump whims altogether rather than spending the time and resources on fixing them, updating them, and adding new whims for new content? I think so. Of course, I can't say for sure, that's just my speculation, but you know, whims are not a big sexy feature like sentiments or lifestyles or snowboarding. They just sit quietly in the background and give us a way to guide our Sims through their lives. So I think they were first on the chopping block whenever something had to go. And maybe the team didn't realize how important whims are to many players. Maybe that just doesn't matter at all. Something had to be cut. This wasn't important to them, so they cut it. It always comes down to money, time, and resources, right? It is my hope in the future for the game that the team will revisit whims, improve them, make them relevant to the Sims, add new whims for the new expansions. But as time goes on, I am less and less hopeful that this is going to actually happen. The more new content that comes out, the less likely they're going to go back and add whims for all of these previous expansion packs. And I think this is something we're going to have to rely on mods for the remainder of The Sims 4's life. Just like many features that we have come to rely on mods for. When the base game was first released, I feel that whims were pretty good. And then as more expansion packs were released after that, they started to get more diluted, more random, and less personal to the Sims themselves. By the time Seasons came out, every single Sim got the want to have a B-box whenever it was spring, regardless of the Sim's personality, when in my opinion, only Sims who love the outdoors should get those type of whims. So I do feel it was a tuning issue. They didn't want to spend time on these whims, tuning them so that they only showed up in appropriate situations, so they just kind of dumped the whole thing. It's very disappointing to me, and I know it is to a lot of other players, even players with other playstyles that differ from mine. So I'll always hope that they'll go back and fix these, but realistically, that's probably not going to happen. So definitely go get the whim overhaul mod that I showed you earlier, and keep your eye on Roberke's Meaningful Stories for possible whim improvements coming there. And because whims are so very important to me in the way I play, I will always be looking for new ways to improve them in the game, and I'll keep you updated on that as well. So I want to hear from you on how you feel about whims. How do you feel about the fact that they haven't added any new whims since Seasons? How do you feel about the existing whims and how they work now? Do you use these mods that I suggested, or do you have other mods that you use to help with this? Or are you just one of the people who just doesn't even care about whims? And finally, if you do care about whims, please let me know that too. There are thousands of us, thousands, I know we're out there. So let me know if you enjoy playing with whims and what you would like to see in the future from EA. Would you like to see them fix this? Are you happy they abandoned it? What is your opinion on the whole situation? Let me know down below. My name is Cindy, and I will see you with a new video very soon. Thank you so much for watching.